One fateful night, Chinaza sneaked into the compound of Ijeoma, the popular yogurt seller. Chinaza was driven by greed and envy. She was desperate to know what Ijeoma puts in her yogurts that made it very creamy and tasty, making a lot of people patronize her every day, ignoring the other yogurt vendors. When she entered Ijeoma's compound, she was happy when she saw Ijeoma inside the kitchen through the window. In front of Ijeoma were empty plastic bottles waiting to be filled with yogurt, which she would sell the next day. Chinaza hid at a perfect location where she would see Ijeoma clearly, but perfectly away from view so she wouldn't be caught. Finally, I would discover the secret ingredient that makes your yogurt more tastier and more desirable than the rest of us. Chinaza smiled and said to herself as she watched eagerly and carefully. However, what Chinaza saw next shocked her to the bones. She couldn't believe her eyes and felt like she was dreaming. Chinaza watched in disbelief as Ijeoma untied her wrapper and placed the nipple of her breast above the bottles and started filling them up with her breast milk. Chinaza held her mouth in shock and disbelief as she watched Ijeoma. After watching for a while, Chinaza sneaked out of the compound. She felt happy but also disappointed. She had trailed Ijeoma to find out the secret to her tasty yogurt, but she discovered more. When she got home, she couldn't take the scene off her mind. She was confused and didn't know what to do. Maybe I should expose her. That way, no one would ever patronize her again and my business would return to the way it used to be, Chinaza said to herself. But she knew that no one would believe her except she had evidence to back up her claims. So she decided that she would return to Ijeoma's house the following night and create a video of what Ijeoma was doing. If she did this, then everyone would definitely believe her. In the beginning, Chinaza and Ijeoma were very close friends. They both attended the same school and studied together. After they finished their education, they were both fortunate to get married to very good and compassionate men who deeply loved and cared about them. They both had to move to different cities with their husbands and gradually drifted apart. In the years that followed, Ijeoma was fortunate to be blessed with 2 children, a boy and a girl. But life was not so fair to her. Her joy was short-lived when she lost her husband after 10 years into the marriage, and everything became tough and difficult for her. She started living from hand to mouth and doing menial jobs to feed herself and the children, with her youngest child just being 5 years old. One fateful day, while she was looking for a job as a cleaner in a very prestigious school called Achievers College, she saw a woman selling yogurt in a store by the side of the road, very close to the school. She watched as the pupils and students of the school stood in a long queue to buy yogurt from the vendor, and Ijeoma wished she owned such a lucrative business. After seeing the principal of the school, she was told that there was no vacancy as they already had a cleaner. Ijeoma left the school premises looking sad and dejected. She was also very thirsty, so she went to the store she previously saw to buy water. To her greatest surprise, the owner of the stall was her best friend from school, Chinaza. The 2 women recognized each other instantly and hugged each other with joy. They started talking like children who had been long separated. After business that day, Chinaza took Ijeoma to a small bar down the street. Ijeoma narrated her life story to Chinaza, how her husband fell terribly ill and eventually passed away after everything they spent to save his life. Chinaza felt sorry for Ijeoma. She equally told Ijeoma her own story, which was even more painful because her husband fell in love with another woman and they both sent her out of her matrimonial home. However, she was lucky she had already started her business and she had no child to look after. They talked and talked at length about how they felt life was a bed of roses, only to discover it was the opposite. Out of benevolence, Chinaza told Ijeoma that a spot can be secured for her by the roadside, where she could also start selling yogurt. "But I don't have any money or capital to start, and I also don't know how to make yogurt," Ijeoma complained. "Don't worry, I'll teach you how I make my yogurt so you can start selling, and I will loan you some money to start up. Then you can pay me when you have realized the money," Chinaza told her. Ijeoma was very happy. After Chinaza finished business for the day, she took Ijeoma to her house and taught her how to make the yogurt. Ijeoma appreciated her for her kindness and went home feeling elated and excited. The next day, with the money that Chinaza loaned to her, she went into the market and bought a cooler and ingredients needed to make the yogurt. When she was done, she went to the roadside beside the college and started selling the yogurt as well. However, she was unable to make so much sales, and this bothered her a lot. She watched as the children flocked to Chinaza's store, and envy began to build in her heart. 1 month later, Ijeoma was also making the yogurt just as she was taught when something strange and unusual happened. She suddenly discovered that her breast felt heavier and there was breast milk staining her bra. In that moment, Ijeoma conceived a dangerous but rewarding thought. She decided to experiment in her kitchen and mix some of the yogurt with her breast milk, and she did. When she went to the roadside the next day, she separated the pure yogurt from those she mixed with her breast milk. A woman approached her with some children to buy yogurt from her. Ijeoma decided to sell the mixed yogurt to them, and it didn't take long before they arrived again asking to buy more. They told her that her yogurt tasted so much better and they would love to buy more. But the first time Ijeoma started selling by the roadside, she sold all the mixed and pure yogurt with customers asking for more. Ijeoma felt very happy, and her friend Chinaza was even more happy for her. Unknown to Chinaza that Ijeoma was doing something different. The next day, Ijeoma repeated the same thing she did, mixing the yogurt with her breast milk, and she was amazed at the sales she made. Ijeoma knew it seemed strange, but she convinced herself that her breast milk was organic and full of nutrients, so it was harmless. It didn't take long before word spread quickly among teachers, students, and parents about Ijeoma's creamy and delicious yogurt, and her sales skyrocketed. People talked about how they felt strengthened after drinking her yogurt and how it tasted so much sweeter and smoother than any other yogurt they had tried. The other vendors who sold drinks and yogurts started to lose customers to Ijeoma, including Chinaza, because everyone wanted Ijeoma's yogurt. She upgraded from a simple roadside vendor to a shop owner beside the school. A lot of people approached her and pleaded with her to share her secret recipe with them, but Ijeoma ignored their requests. Whenever a customer comes to talk about how delicious her yogurt was, Ijeoma would smile politely, resisting the urge to tell them the truth about her yogurt. But a part of her felt very uneasy, and she often wondered if she was doing the right thing. Sometimes she wished she could stop, but she was making enough money from her venture, and to lose all her customers would be a very painful thing for her to do. One hot afternoon, a local food critic decided to drop by the school for a review. He had heard so much about Ijeoma's special yogurt, and he wanted to know who the Ijeoma was and how she made her yogurt. Ijeoma was very scared and disturbed when the man approached her, asking her questions about her ingredients and the process. Ijeoma was afraid. Her hands grew sweaty as she tried to keep her story straight while explaining everything to the local food critic to avoid being caught or raising suspicions. When the man seemed satisfied with her answers, he brought a bottle of her special yogurt and promised to get back to her. The following week, the local food critic returned to Ijeoma, praising her yogurt. He wrote a beautiful review in the town's newspaper, praising its uniqueness and comforting flavor. Ijeoma's business doubled as demand for her special yogurt increased. In just 3 months, Ijoma was making a lot of money and her children were attending one of the best schools in town. She moved into a better apartment and also employed other ladies to help her in making sales at the shop. She increased the amount of yogurt that she prepared every day and opened more shops beside other schools. But amidst the praises and success, she still felt guilt creeping into her every thought. She wondered if she had gone too far and if people would forgive her if the secret was exposed. But she ignored her conscience and continued nonetheless because bills had to be paid and she already got used to her luxurious lifestyle. Among the vendors whose sales dropped drastically was Chinaza, her best friend, the one who taught her how to make the yogurt and also helped her secure a spot by the school. Chinaza, who was previously happy for Ijoma, started feeling suspicious of Ijoma's sudden success. Chinaza had been selling yogurt by the school for many years, yet she was unable to achieve what Ijoma had achieved, despite the fact that Ijoma learned all she knew from her. So one fateful day, Chinaza decided to visit Ijoma and find out the secret to her creamy yogurt. On that fateful day, she met Ijoma at home. Ijoma was watching a movie and welcomed her warmly. After they exchanged pleasantries, Chinaza asked her, "I'm very happy for you, my friend. You've grown from a nobody to a popular woman in a short while. But I do not believe you're using the same recipe I taught you. Please, can you share your secret recipe with me? I promise that it will remain just between us as friends." Ijoma looked at Chinaza in amazement, pretending to be surprised by her question. "Secret recipe? There is no secret recipe aside from the one you taught me. Perhaps I simply added a bit more sugar and flavor. That could be the reason why mine stands out from the rest." Chinaza felt disappointed in Ijoma's answer. She was certain that Ijoma was doing something else, but she thanked her politely and left her house. After that day, Chinaza would often visit Ijoma and bring up the topic over and over again. And each time Chinaza asked, Ijoma would repeat the same answer. "Perhaps I simply added a bit more sugar and flavor." At first, they would laugh over her response, but as time went on, Chinaza realized that Ijoma didn't want to tell her the secret to her recipe, so she became very angry and determined to find out what Ijoma was hiding. One fateful night, Chinaza decided to sneak into the compound of Ijoma. She was very fortunate to arrive just in time to witness what Ijoma was doing, but she left in a state of shock and disappointment after she watched Ijoma pouring her own breast milk into the yogurt she was brewing. Chinaza felt like throwing up, but she controlled herself and left the compound the same way she came in. When she got home, she couldn't take the scene off her mind. She was confused and didn't know what to do. Maybe I should expose her. That way, no one would ever patronize her again and my business will return the way it used to be, Chinaza told herself. But she knew no one would believe her except she had evidence to back up her claims. So she decided she would return to Ijoma's house the following night, create a video of what she was doing, and if she does this, then everyone would believe her. The next day, Chinaza waited patiently until it was dark. She sneaked once again into Ijoma's compound. She was fortunate to find Ijoma inside the kitchen, just like she did the previous night. She positioned herself properly and took out her phone to record everything Ijoma was doing. Ijoma was unsuspecting and mixed the yogurt with her breast milk as usual, unknown to her that Chinaza was recording her. When Chinaza got back home, she made copies of the videos and saved them on her computer. After business the next day, she approached Ijoma once again and asked her the secret to her yogurt recipe. "Please tell me the secret to your success," Chinaza said. "My sales have reduced drastically and I am almost bankrupt. Please, assist me like I once assisted you. I promise that whatever you tell me would be between us." She felt Ijoma would tell her the truth, but to her greatest surprise, Ijoma got very angry and screamed at her.
Is it because you helped me when I had nothing? Is that why you won't let me rest? Please, leave my house and never return. Chinaza was very disappointed. She stood up and left Ijeoma's house in shame. She was deeply hurt by Ijeoma's words, so she sent the video to as many television stations as possible. The next day, Ijeoma was unaware of what had transpired. As she drove to her shop, she was surprised that everyone was looking at her and pointing fingers at her. She felt they were talking about her in admiration, unknown to her that her secret had been exposed. When she got to her shop, she was surprised to see a lot of people gathered in front of her shop. And immediately she came down from her car, everyone started insulting her and throwing eggs at her. Ijeoma became very embarrassed. She quickly ran and entered her car and drove back home. When she arrived home, she saw her children in front of the gate, crying their eyes out. Ijeoma became very confused. She quickly took her children into the house and asked them what happened. It was then that one of her children told her that everyone at school was calling them ritualists and refused to let them enter the classroom. Ijeoma became more confused. She didn't understand what was going on until she got a message from Chinaza. When she opened the message, it was the video Chinaza had recorded the night before. Ijeoma couldn't believe her eyes. She broke down in tears and started crying. She didn't know what to do. While she was at home contemplating on what to do, some policemen arrived and arrested her. They told her that she was being arrested for endangering the lives of the public by deceiving them to drink her breast milk. Ijeoma was sent to prison for 6 years and her children were sent to the orphanage because they had no family relative to stay with. Ijeoma regretted her actions. She wished she had been patient and built her customer base gradually without being too greedy. She also wished that she had told Chinaza the secret to her creamy yogurt without being rude to her. Maybe if she did, she wouldn't have lost everything. The moral lesson of this story reminds us to not bite the hands that fed us. There are always consequences to betrayal. Whenever your conscience tries to advise you against doing something, always listen to it because it was given to us to protect and guide us. Do not let greed push you or compel you into doing something that is not right. You will eventually regret it in future. Always ensure that you are engaged in one form of business, skill or the other, so that you may be independent in case of any mishap.